Premier, we've got reports that your own MLAs have been negotiating or trying to negotiate with blockaders down at Coutts. You're also facing criticism that a lot of the moves that you're making right now and the policy decisions are being driven more by pressure on your government from that blockade. How do you reconcile those two things? You've got MLAs who are talking with blockaders and perhaps negotiating with them, and critics who say that especially the restrictions exemption program being canceled at this point is due to pressure on you from that blockade. How do you reconcile those two things?
Well, they don't need to be reconciled because they're not true. First of all, Kieran, nobody on behalf of the government of Alberta has been negotiating with anybody engaged in illegal actions. And our acting Solicitor General, Minister of Justice, Sonia Savage, has made it clear to all members of Government Caucus that they do not and cannot negotiate on behalf of the government of Alberta. Now, having said that, there are Albertans involved in that protest who have MLAs, and I understand that they've been calling and contacting their MLAs and talking to them, and MLAs have responsibility to listen to their constituents. That is not negotiating. It is elected representatives listening to their constituents. With respect to the blockade, Minister Savage and the RCMP held a news conference to provide a situation update this afternoon. As I've said consistently, we welcome the freedom of people to protest lawfully and peacefully. But this is not a lawful protest. This and other road blockages constitute a safety hazard, a serious interference in the lives of others. It does economic damage, in this case particularly for ranchers, farmers, and agri-food producers. I would point out to those involved in the blockade, I think there are about 38 trucks, I should say semi-trucks at the Coutts border crossing itself, but we have some 300,000 Albertans with trucking licenses and about 60,000 commercial trucks that are licensed for operation in Alberta. So something like 99.99% of truckers and trucks are not involved in that protest. And in fact, that blockade, all it does is inconvenience thousands of law-abiding truckers who are just trying to make a living, who now have to go to one of the three other ports of entry between Alberta and Montana. So we would ask those folks to stop the blockade. We expect the RCMP to enforce the law. They are responsible for the operational tactics and how that is done. We respect their delegated authority in that respect. Finally, Kieran, if what we're doing here is somehow a response to protest, then why has England, Ireland, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Norway, South Africa, now Saskatchewan, Quebec done the same thing? Why are U.S. states that have had much harder lockdowns than Alberta over the past 2 years, like California, New Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware, and many others, why are they right now lifting all or most measures? None of that has to do anything with a few trucks parked at the Coutts border crossing. All of it has to do with the fact that the disease is changing, and so the approach that we take to manage it should change as well.